Do you want your varmint rifle to shoot straight? Well, let's do some load development for my Remington 700 223 varmint rifle. Now, this is a factory rifle with a factory barrel, and I don't expect it to shoot like a match rifle. Sometimes you get lucky and get a good barrel, and most of the time you don't. So if this thing's less than a minute of angle, I'm going to be happy. If it's less than a half a minute angle, I'm going to be stoked. But before we do that, we have a problem to solve. This thing doesn't have a scope on it. So I'm going to do some digging around and see if I can find a scope to put on the rifle. Nah. This looks absolutely ludicrous. This is the silliest combination I have ever done in my entire life with a varmint rifle. But it's the only scope I had available that I had rings for, so we're doing it. The Night Force bench rest, 12 to 42 power on top of my Remington 223 with a factory barrel. Oh, this is going to be ludicrous. But before we go to the range, we have to load some ammo. So we're going to take some Lapua 223 match brass and prep it. Now, this has been multi-time fired. It's been through this rifle before, but not this barrel. This barrel is a takeoff from somebody else's rifle. Take that brass, we're going to put it through a full-length RCBS normal sizing die with the expander ball and use that as our sole method of sizing. This brass is not neck turned. It hasn't had the primer pockets done. It has had absolutely nothing done to it other than take it out of the box and shoot it. And we're going to have a party starter again, and our party starter for today is the Wolf small rifle Magnum primer that no, you cannot buy in the United States anymore. I happen to have a stock of them, and I'm going to use them up doing this because they're better in smaller cartridges. Last but not least, we're going to use the Hornady 50 grain VMAX bullet for this load. Why? Because this bullet tends to blow critters apart. I've hunted with them for many years and they work great. As a matter of fact, I'm headed out to my dad's place to do some varmint shooting very soon. We're going to turn some ground squirrels into ground squirrel. Now you're probably wondering what powder, right? Well, the reason I don't haul the jug up here is it won't fit in this frame and I can't hold it up anyway. I just so happen to have 8 pounds of AR comp from Alliant. We're going to use that. Looking at the Alliant load data, our starting charge is 24.1 grains and our max charge is 25.5 grains, at least for this experiment. I don't know what that's going to come out to. I'm not going to run it in quick load before I do it. I'm just going right out of the load manual like anybody else would, and we're going to see how it shoots. The barrel's 26 inches long, so we're going to get a little more velocity than what Alliant shows with their 24-inch barrel, but that's okay. We still got to figure it out, and every rifle's an individual, so let's go do it. So this first session at the range, well, it started badly. The first thing I figured out is I didn't remember how to shoot this particular rifle well. I was quite challenged and fired 2 rounds of each charge before I finally figured out what I was doing wrong, moved my point of impact up 1 minute of angle, and continued from there, which gave me split groups, 2 low and 3 high. So the data for this shows velocities for 5 shots, but only 3 shot groups. This does not shoot like an F-open rifle, and I was using a simple squeeze sand sack to maintain the position of the rifle, and I was struggling more than a little bit. I circled the 2 initial shots on every one of these targets so that you can tell when I made a change to the rifle. Now, 24.1, it's really weird because 2 of the 3 shots landed low compared to the other shot. It's scattering everywhere. That's okay. Part of that was me driving the rifle. At 24.3, we have another absolutely enormous group. Once again, measuring just those 3 shots. At 24.5, it's starting to shrink down more than a little bit. So let's go to 24.7. And at 24.7, we're in the 2s. I didn't check to see if it repeated. We'll get to that. Because we're not just going to do powder charges today. I'm doing the entire load development cycle because I know nothing about this barrel and what it likes. From 24.7, let's go a little more. Because, well, we got to know. And it stays together for the most part with 1 flyer that goes high and left, which suggests that we're coming out the top of the node. These are huge jumps in a 223 Remington. If I was doing this for a 223 Remington that was a match rifle, I would be 1/10 at a step, not 2/10. You got to get it a little tighter than that. And at 25.1, we start to see the sickening opening up of another scatter node. And at 25.3, we're back below 3/4 of a minute of angle, but it's still an ugly group. At 25.5, I get this nice vertical stack, and that's about a half-minute group again. We have a rifle that will shoot, but it's a little finicky about powder charges. On the other hand, I haven't done any seating depth testing with this. I set it at 2.250 inches and just threw away the book on load development because I wanted to show you how murky it can be if you don't know what your seating depth is. And I failed miserably. Because this is a 700 Remington with a blind magazine in it, it's got a lot of length and I can go really long on my ammunition. So I went back home and loaded a bunch of rounds at 24.7 grains because that looked to be the best when I did the powder charges. I started at 2.290 inches, 40 thousandths longer than my original length, and decided I was just going to do 5,000 steps. 2.270, another 2. Can you imagine having a factory rifle that shoots 3-shot groups that small? Because it does. Now, is this equivalent to a match barrel and a match rifle? Absolutely, positively not. This does not behave like a match barrel. It is very finicky, and I figured this out by shooting it more than a little bit. Now, I wasn't being conservative about the number of rounds I was firing. I was kind of enjoying shooting the .223 Remington. It's a fun gun to shoot. So before we go completely crazy, let's take a look at what it does at a little longer range. I had intended to shoot it at 300 yards or so, but the day I went out to shoot, there were other people on the range and 600 was the only thing available. The external ballistics calculator says that with a launch velocity of about 3,400 feet a second, the impact velocity is going to be very, very slow with a 50 grain VMAX. As a matter of fact, this is below my minimum speed for hunting for this bullet because I don't feel like it expands well at this speed. It's not that it won't kill a critter, it's that I can't guarantee a humane kill. So I would never undertake a shot at this range with this rifle. If I want to shoot that far, I'll shoot something else. So the shot marker was set up to shoot a different test, and I just whipped the .223 Remington out and shot it from a bipod with no rear bag whatsoever. Look, I'm holding this with my shoulder and trying to support my position, and once again, I'm learning how to drive this rifle. 10 consecutive shots at 600 yards, and it was blustery, so I was having to dope the wind, and this thing has enough wind drift that it makes my 284 at 1,000 yards look like cheating. I underdoped the wind a little bit while I was doing this. I just wasn't ready for that level of wind drift and got a little wide. The total vertical for this group was less than 6 inches, which means it's capable of shooting less than 1 minute of angle. And the wind was me, guys. It could actually score a clean at 600 yards on an F-class target if you really had to, but I don't recommend it. That's not the purpose of this rifle. This rifle is here solely as a critter getter. But once again, I do not see any ethical way that I could fire a 600-yard shot against any animal. With the size of a ground squirrel, I'm pretty sure we couldn't hit one with this rifle shooting like this. If you guys enjoy content like this, would you subscribe and leave me a comment? Are you more interested in the everyday rifle stuff as opposed to the fancy match rifle stuff? I'd like to know. Until next time, go out and get some practice. The amount of skill that you lose when you don't use it is amazing. Trust me, I learned it firsthand. Stay safe, shoot straight, and I'll see you in the next video.